YouTube, what is going on? Chief High Smoke back to you with another one. And the Cleveland Browns are building for the future. The Philadelphia Eagles are trying to repeat as Super Bowl champions, and defensive end MYLES GARRETT is frustrated after extending his contract despite stating in the offseason his desire to win a Super Bowl. Now, the contract details are what they are. Cleveland will have a large salary cap no matter if they have their star defender on the roster or not. The NFL trade deadline rumor is that Philadelphia, where Cleveland GM Andrew Berry worked for a season under GM Howie Roseman, is willing to offer 3 first-round picks for Garrett. Garrett's presence alone makes defensive tackle Mason Graham, linebacker Carson Swessinger, and defensive tackle Mike Hall Jr. better. His play at times can win games almost single-handedly. The deal also doesn't make sense for Berry unless he knows for sure he will get to compete at least 4 or 5 years on the extension he signed last year. Garrett not only assures a more competitive product on the field, but also gives the rest of Berry's roster a chance to look better to owner Jimmy Haslam if the GM is on the hot seat. A deal that could potentially be more interest for the Eagles if a team has 2 first-round picks in 2026. You look at the Dallas Cowboys and the Rams, who could both offer their picks next year and more value. Browns fans and Berry might be more interested in building a team with 4 first-round picks in next year's draft. So I went out and I used a mock draft simulator, and I forced a deal with Cleveland receiving Dallas's first 3 picks in the 2026 draft. The Browns roster could add these players to quickly update the offense and add an edge rusher in the first 2 rounds. Round 1 with the 4th pick, I have them taking Fernando Mendoza. Round 1, 15th pick, Carnell Tate, a wide receiver. Round 1 at 20th, Caden Proctor, a tackle. And at round 1 with the 31st pick, Mason Thomas, an edge rusher. Round 2 with the 36th pick, Caleb Lameau, an offensive tackle from Utah. Round 2, the 47th pick, have them taking Jacoby Lane, a wide receiver from USC. Now, is this trade realistic? I think the Eagles want to get back to their Super Bowl level. The past 2 times they reached the Super Bowl, they've had elite pass rushes. If you go back to the first time in Super Bowl 57, they had 4 defensive linemen with 10 sacks apiece. Brandon Graham, Hargraves, whoever they threw out there was able to get to the quarterback. Go to the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 59 against the Chiefs. Mahomes had trouble getting an inch. First downs were impossible. Hell froze over if they got past the 50-yard line. They were able to score, a couple touchdowns in garbage time that I really don't count. Take Xavier Worthy. But the Eagles went on to blow out the Chiefs in that game, and they're trying to get back to the Super Bowl again. I think Howie Roseman is going to go for it, and if the Browns are willing to do this, it could set the Eagles back in the future. But those first-round picks are going to be late, in the high 30s or in the low 30s. You got to think that the Eagles are always going to be in the playoff hunt with this roster. So it's really on GM Andrew Berry of the Browns if he wants to make this deal. If you take these late first-round picks and you put them together, it's really like 2 first-round picks, 2 mid-tier first-round picks. And possibly the Browns could package some of these picks and get more for all the holes on their roster. But MYLES GARRETT is just coming off a 5-sack game for the Browns last week. The value has skyrocketed. If there was any point for the Browns to trade him, it'd be right now. You're going to get the most value out of him. The guy's 29 years old, approaching 30 years old in his career. It's the old Bill Belichick rule, right? You want to trade these guys before they hit 30 years old. And I think Nick Sirianni and this Eagles coaching staff is good at player development. So either way, if they keep their first-round picks, I still think they're going to be in the mix every single year. But if they go out and they make this move for MYLES GARRETT, it's going to be one of the hottest trades in the last decade in the NFL. It's going to be, I think it's going to be more important than Micah Parsons. That's for sure. Now, the Packers are probably the only team that can compete with the Eagles in a playoff game. I just seeing the Lions play in a big game against the Chiefs on the road. They're not ready. I don't think the 49ers are ready with all their injuries. The Rams, I don't know. I just don't really take them seriously with Stafford. They got a solid team, though. I will give them that. But I just think the Eagles have an easy road back to the Super Bowl. So why would you need to make this move when you've shown you can turn first-round picks into elite talent? You look at Mitchell, their cornerback. He's one of the best corners in the league now. So the Eagles and Howie Roseman are really caught up right now, and if they want to make this move, and I think Eagles fans, 90% of them, if I was to tell them they had a chance to get MYLES Garrett, they would tell them to pull the trigger on it. So the Eagles look like they're going to be headed back to Super Bowl 60 after the blowout win against the Chiefs. I was a big believer in Jalen Hurts, one of the only fans other than an Eagles fan to go out on a limb and say he was a top 5 quarterback. The media said Jalen Hurts wasn't even a top 10 quarterback. They had guys like Justin Herbert and Joe Burrow over Jalen Hurts. And, you know, those guys hadn't even won a big game in their career yet. And Jalen Hurts is just coming off a Super Bowl, been in a Super Bowl before. He's a big game quarterback, and he can win a game any type of way, a blowout, a close game. He can bring his B game and show up in the fourth quarter and be down multiple scores and come back. Just a quarterback that can win any type of way, and I really respect him on the field. Now, he's done some things off the field I don't agree with, and I've spoke on that, but that's not what this video is about. MYLES Garrett could be possibly traded to the Eagles, and definitely that's on my mind, and I'll be looking to see if that actually happens. Guys, if you could check out my play-by-play on Sundays. I do a couple games on Sundays each week in the NFL. I consider my play-by-play one of the best on YouTube. The passion, the love, the excitement. Go check my play-by-plays out. I think they're really good. Also, if you could check out Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. He does highlights on the NFL, NBA, MLB daily. Big Dodgers and Rams fan. So I'd appreciate it if you could go out there and check out Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it.